to why we don't see a lot of productivity growth in the near future. Now, what we're going to discuss next is what does that mean for Japan. Japan has a lot of incumbent industries with doing business in a traditional way. What will these new technologies that are coming in from Japan and also from overseas, what would this mean for the existing industries? Will they be able to adapt? Will they be able to benefit from the potential productivity growth? Or will they also have to go through a period of transition and actually have higher costs and lower profitability? Because if that is the case, and we put that against the demographic developments, and maybe things do not, the new technology in terms of GDP growth is not as promising as we might expect at first sight. So that's so much about productivity. I think it's time to move on and leave productivity behind and move on to the next topic. Is that okay?
Yeah, summarize cost of overlap.
Right.
Again, overlap.
Yeah. Okay, so the cost of overlap, basically it means that it takes time for an industry to move from one infrastructure to the next. There are innovative new companies that bring new technology that can do things much smarter, much faster, at lower costs. And these companies, but they are able to disrupt somehow, but they are also only minor players in the entire industry. So take Amazon. Amazon is an important company. Everybody's looking at Amazon. Everybody's afraid of Amazon. But Amazon only accounts for a small percentage of the entire retail industry. The reality is that everybody else is not growing. So Amazon, using like innovative new technology, is using innovative new business model, is successful doing that. But their profits, their gains in productivity are basically being nullified by all the other companies that are lagging behind.
But what does mean overlap? But it doesn't mean overlap.
It means that it will take time for companies to adopt, to write off their old infrastructure and to build up the new infrastructure. So that means that during that transition time, we are actually increasing our costs. That means that even though there is new technology, it will take time before there is mass adaptation.
Yeah, I understand. But what does mean overlap? This meaning overlap is overlap.
Overlap means that, for example,
overlap, right?
Yes. So a newspaper
overlap?
company needs to maintain their online presence plus their paper presence. They cannot just say, "Oh, let's just get rid of all the newspapers, all the physical newspapers," because that's where most of the revenue comes
transition?
from. The transition period.
Okay, go ahead. Move on.
Yeah. And there is oil. Too. What? But what?
What?
I don't know what I wrote here. And there is oil to put the brakes on further. To put the brakes on further. Sorry. It's not but, to put. This is not a B, but a P. So what we see is that we have the incumbent industries and the industries that are going through transitions that basically put a brake on the potential for economic growth. But we also have...
Why oil?
Oil. Why oil? An excellent question.
2008.
All right, welcome back to the show here. Oil to 147. We went to...
Remember that month? In that month, Brent crude oil hit a record price of $147 on world markets. And when it hit that record price, the whole global economy shut down. Silence. Completely gone. That was the economic earthquake. The collapse of the financial market 60 days later was the aftershock.
Mayhem, carnage, and bloodbath. Call it what you want, but what we saw on global stock markets today was ill-disguised panic.
Good evening. This was the day after what may someday be called Black Monday on Wall Street because it was perhaps the worst financial collapse since the Great Depression.
Our policy leaders are still dealing with the aftershock, not the earthquake. Why was it the earthquake? Because the entire industrial revolution that we've gone through is all dependent on the carbon deposits of a previous period in history. You know, if we look back, let's say that we make it through this next period of history. I always wonder, what will future generations think of us maybe in 100,000 years from now? And they'll say, oh, yes, we remember them. There was the Bronze Age, the Iron Age. These were the fossil fuel people. They dug up the burial grounds of the Carboniferous era and created a short-lived, dramatic, and very dangerous civilization. It's all about fossil fuels. Our fertilizers and pesticides are made out of fossil fuels. Our construction materials are made out of fossil fuels. Most of our pharmaceutical products are made out of fossil fuels. Our synthetic fiber, our power, our transport, our heat and light's all made out of, moved by fossil fuels. So when the price of oil goes over around 95 a barrel, all the other prices go up. When we get into the zone of around 115 a barrel, prices become so high that purchasing power slows. This is the sunset of a great industrial era. Now, you remember in 2009, oil went down to 50 a barrel because the economy had shut down. There was no activity. In 2010, we tried to regrow inventories, so oil prices started to go up. All the other prices started to go up. And in 2014, we hit a new peak of 114 or 15 a barrel. Purchasing power slowed down again. This is a convulsion of growth, shutdown, growth, shutdown. And the only reason oil went down in the last few years to 30 a barrel is now the fossil fuel industry is fighting among themselves in the sunset. OPEC said, we're going to keep the oil spigot open. We're going to flood the world with oil. And that's going to take the price down to 30 a barrel and wipe out our new competitors, the more exotic fossil fuels, shale gas in the U.S., tar sands in Canada. And guess what? They wiped them out. Only took a year and a half. Bankruptcies across the United States in the shale gas industry. And now tar sands in Canada, the pipeline's not happening. And do you hear anybody talking about energy independent right now? It's over. And as soon as the bankruptcies complete themselves, the oil prices are now starting to go back up. But now we have failed states. Where there's oil production, we have failed states. So this is a volatile, convulsive sunset over the next 40 to 50 years, an unstable world. Where do we head from here?
Failed states, what does it mean?
Failed states. Oh, that's for example, Iran or Iraq is maybe a better example.
Oh, okay, okay.
Where they produce oil, but they have unstable governments.
Okay.
Okay, so
oil is big impact for industry.
Oil has a big impact on the industry. So, and he says, well, basically, as the world GDP rises, the demand for oil rises. We saw this, and it rises actually exponentially, more than if the economy grows 5%, then the demand for oil increases even more than that. There are three key features: are lower price elasticity of demand. So basically, that means that if the price goes up, the demand doesn't go down that much because we need oil. Oil is in everything. So if the price goes up, we cannot reduce the oil intake so much because there's too much depending on oil to move and to produce. And the strong growth in demand from China and Middle East and other newly industrialized economies, so that just keeps on rising the oil level, and the failure of global production to increase. Now we have shale oil, and actually this is where I disagree with
what does mean failure of global production?
The failure of global. So basically, this is what he's saying is that it's finite. Our reserves, our carbon reserves, are finite. We cannot grow them actually. And what he said in the video is that we see a convulsion where basically the price goes down, and then when the price goes down, like producers of more expensive natural resources like shale gas, they need a higher price in order to be profitable. So they go out of business, and then once they're out of business, then the OPEC
because
countries,
price is down, that's the reason why they increase production.
right.
Okay.
Right. So these facts explain the initial strong pressure on the prices that may have triggered the commodity speculation in the first place. So if speculators know that if there is a period of high growth, then the people become more inclined to invest in oil and oil futures, because that will bring profitability. Because we know already that in a strong economy, the prices of oil will go up. So that means that every time the economy grows, the price of oil will go up through speculation, because basically we need oil to drive that economic growth. But once the price reaches a certain level, the economic growth comes to a halt because the prices are too high. We cannot afford it anymore. That basically leads to an economic meltdown. Bang. So oil becomes a brake on our potential to grow our economy. That is his argument, because oil is finite. We need oil, and because of speculation, because it will lead to, once we start growing, that growth will be offset by a very high oil price, which will cause the growth
But
to
how
collapse.
come current oil price is staggering?
So basically, that's after an implosion.
Yeah.
You will see that the price will go down. And that lower oil price will facilitate economic growth. Then once the economic growth starts to materialize, the price of oil will go up.
Yeah, suppose it be going up, but not going up.
So are we doing so well in terms of economic growth?
Yeah. Why not oil price is going up? It's like going up to $80,
Well,
$80, you know?
It's probably artificial, but I think one of the reasons is this, because what we see right now at the moment. So basically, let's first focus on what he was talking about, and then look at the reality, because you're right, actually. So this is what we saw. So what we saw here is a low. Basically, we see economic growth, high economic growth, and we see the oil price going up in the period of high economic growth. So it overshoots here. And then it becomes too high, and then bang, it collapses. And then with the collapse, also the oil price goes down. And then the oil price will go up again. And the economy, at a low oil price, the economy can grow again. Then the oil price will go up, and then bang, it hits the ceiling.
But see, oil price not going up.
Oil price is going up with
Little bit.はい、皆さんこんにちは、雲野です。今日はですね、雲野塾の研修のプログラムをご紹介したいと思います。で、こういうふうなホームページありますけれども、ぜひですね、一度中身をご覧になっていただきたいと思います。今日はブーキューブさんのスタジオに来て、この収録をしておりますので、中身はこういうふうになってて、今最近ホットなね、グローバルリーダーの定義など書いてあります。で、特に経団連が作成しました留学すれば英語ができて専門性を持つというだけではですね、グローバルリーダーになれないとここに書いてありますようにですね、仕事ができる、専門性を持つ、英語ができるだけじゃなくてですね、私どもの塾ではリベラルアーツということと、それからもう一つは孫子の平和、さらにはですね、日本の歴史というものを合わせて教えることによって、皆さんが海外の欧米の方々と、もしくは華僑圏の方々と正々堂々と渡り合えるような 人物を育成しようというふうなことを考えています。ここに次のスライドが出ておりますけれども、ここに書いてありますのはですね、さらに、私どもの雲野塾の中身につきましてはですね、欧米の資料しか使っておりません。また実際に雲野塾は英語でやっておりますので、英語の講師がこう話しておりますけど、学習はですね、日本の歴史をまだ教えて